This is Mr. Julien Keutgen. Is it correct?
Yes.
He's graduated in modern languages and translation at the University of Liège. He works as a translator and project assistant for InfoRef and has been involved for a year in the European project Chemistry All Around Network. InfoRef is a non-profit association of teachers and technical and educational experts that offers services to primary and secondary schools, upper education schools, as well as to adult education. Teachers training in the Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles.
The five authors of the text I'm presenting all train chemistry teachers in various institutions. I'm not one of them, but they were gathered together by FLF, the organization I work for, in the framework of the chemistry project. So this is called Teachers Training in the Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles. To understand what this means, I first need to explain the Belgian situation. So in Belgium we have three regions: Brussels in the center, Flanders in the north, and Wallonia in the south, and three linguistic communities that are based on the three official languages of Belgium: the Flemish community, the French-speaking community, and the German-speaking community. Education in Belgium is not a national matter, it's the responsibility of communities. So what I'm going to talk about is teacher training in the French-speaking community, which is called Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles. One of the specificities of this training is that there are two ways to train as a teacher. There is first what we call in French Réjorda. It's a 3 years bachelor's degree that takes place in non-university college. It trains lower secondary school teachers, that is teachers for 12 to 15-year-old students. And the second word is called in French agrégation. It's a master in 5 or 6 years that takes place at university for upper secondary school teachers. So for teachers for 15 to 18-year-old students. Those two courses of studies associate theory and practice through theoretical lessons to provide scientific knowledge, practical workshops, internships in school, and a final dissertation. And they both aim to acquire specific skills that can be grouped as such. I'm not going to detail them because it's going to be a bit long, but they're a bit the same in every country, I think. So first, the Réjorda, the non-university training. It's open to everyone with a secondary school degree. There is no admission exam, and it's more focused on pedagogic content rather than on scientific content. There are some weaknesses in this course of study. First, as I said, it's focused on pedagogic content, but the scientific level of students is not always satisfying. It's sometimes difficult to find supervisors for internships and for practical workshops. And there are contrary visions between those two kinds of supervisors, which results in some strains. Interns tend to be considered too early as teachers while they are still students. The training programs are very dense, almost 8 hours a week, a day. And there are lessons given in large lecture hall, which does not foster practice. Fortunately, there are some strengths too. There is a great interaction between academic knowledge and professional reality, so teachers can meet teachers and other people who are already working. There's a great closeness between trainers and between students of various disciplines. As I said, the great accessibility because there is no admission exam. And there's a work on a teacher identity to create a sense of community among teachers. Now, training in university, what I call agrégation, it focuses on scientific content, and there are two ways to do it. It can be a master with a didactic orientation, which lasts 5 years, or it can be another master, more for more oriented towards research, for instance, followed by 1 year dedicated to didactic, in which case it lasts 6 years. Again, there are weaknesses and strengths. First, the university in Belgium has never been vocational, that is, it aims to provide knowledge, but not to train professionals. So it can make great scientists, but these are not necessarily great science teachers. There's a lack of time in the training and a lack of coordination in the master with a didactic orientation. So students can't always manage time between their internship and the dissertation. Students are reluctant to take the master with a didactic orientation because it's considered as more demanding and because they feel that they will lack knowledge in case they want to turn to the PhD afterwards. For some reason, the didactic dissertation is not always considered as a real dissertation. Some consider that it should be more oriented towards research. Again, we have lessons given in large lecture halls, which does not help practice. And finally, the audience is sometimes a bit too heterogeneous because they are young students, but also people who have already worked and decide to train again as a teacher. So there are different levels in the same class. But this is also one of the strengths because students with different backgrounds can share their own experience. There's also the major and minor options. That is, for instance, someone can take chemistry as a major and physics or biology as a minor, so they will be ready to teach several subjects. And there's the collaboration between various actors of education. And as I explained earlier, the one-year diploma, so if someone who is already trained in something else can train easily as a teacher. So as you've seen, there are many weaknesses in teacher training, so that's probably why there's an education reform right now. It's scheduled for next year, and it should result in one single structure, so we wouldn't have a distinction between the non-university and university training. All the details are unknown, but there are some priorities that are defined. I don't know the detail of it, but the last one is important. Teachers should be ready for continuing training, which brings me to the second point, continuing training. It can depend on the networks. The network in Belgium is what organizes education, so it can be organized by the community, in our case the French-speaking community, by provinces and municipalities. The third one is mainly Catholic education in Belgium, and the last one private education. So the institution where continuing training can be taken. In the case of the French-speaking community, there is one called IFC, which in French it stands for Institution for In-Career Training. And my organization, FRF, trains science teachers to use technologies in that institution. Teachers have to take only 3 days of continuing training per year, and it can be in any subject. So it can be in a scientific subject, but also in teaching methods or technologies. So it's not very strict, and there's a hope that it will be more strict with the reform. Among the other possibilities of continuing training or related to continuing training, they can ask support for educational advisors, for instance, to test new teaching methods. They can participate in working groups, meeting other teachers to share ideas and experience. They can ask for coaching sessions. We have advanced technology centers in which teachers can train to use tools that their school cannot always afford. And finally, they can consult the internet because there are many websites with information and resources. And among those resources, on those websites, we have 2 projects. The one on the right is one of our partners is involved in it. It's called European Chemistry and Chemical Engineering Education Network. And the one on the left is our project called Chemistry is All Around. And it gathers many resources, among other things, to help teachers in the classroom.
Thank you.